Okay, we're going to look today at a few clips and listen to a few clips from a recent interview that Candace Owens did with Eric Trump, or I guess Eric Trump did the interview with Candace Owens. Candace is the interviewer, is the point I'm trying to make. And what I want you to think about here are really two things. There's two takeaways here. You know, Candace Owens is this right-wing grifter. It's not even clear she's really right-wing. It seems that this is a business model that she stumbled across. She claims that she used to be on the left, now she's on the right. The explanation never really makes sense. This really seems to be mostly a business thing for her, and she will say anything. I mean, she said after Bob Saget died, it seems like it was related to the vaccine. Of course, there was no evidence of that, and now we know that it was actually a hit to the head. Absolutely no standards. She will go lower, doesn't matter. She will say anything that will get attention. She interviewed Eric Trump. And there's a couple different things to pay attention to here. One is this interview. This is so important to understand. This interview counts as deep, serious intellectual discourse for the right and for Republicans at this point in time. Now, I assert that this is the epitome of pablum. I mean, this is trash, worthless discussion. But also look at the way in which they pander in this particular first clip we're going to look at to the religious wing of the Republican Party, but in such a transparent way that you would have to suspend all disbelief and skepticism to think that Eric Trump is even remotely serious about his religiosity here. So let's just jump right in. It'll all be made very clear here.
You can have dinner with anybody dead or alive. You can't say Trump. You can't, well, you are Trump, but you can't say your father. You've already had dinner with him. Plenty of times.
How about Jesus?
Jesus.
Okay, so Jesus is who Eric, if he could pick anybody to have dinner with, he would have dinner with Jesus. Now, we all know this is not a religious family. Trump didn't go to church. His kids didn't go to church. This is a character they've developed since entering Republican politics. But what gives it away is this next part. Take a listen.
A good answer.
That'd be a good one, right?
What would you ask him?
Oh, God. Did you envision this happening to the United States of America? And did you ever envision a person as incompetent as Joe Biden running the United States of America? How in the world did this happen?
Right. You can tell how deeply spiritual he is from the question he would ask Jesus. And of course, this is the sort of sophist facade that these guys and gals try to put up there. Well, there's no one other. Jesus is the top person I would like to have dinner with, really. And what would you ask him? Not what is the meaning of life? What is the origin of the universe? Not why does God allow bad things to happen? No, the question would be, did you ever imagine an incompetent Joe Biden would be the president of the United States? That's the one question you ask Jesus if you sit down with him. It's unbelievable. I mean, who could possibly fall for this stuff? But they see this and they go, this is a religious family. This is deep intellectual discussion.
Honestly, I might ask him if this is actually a ploy to show people the difference between Republican leadership and Democratic leadership.
Right. Right.
Sometimes
God selected Biden to show how much better Republicans are. That's obviously the concern of Jesus.
Think about that. Is this part of the? You have Donald Trump, who had just 4 years of, despite everything they tried to do to destroy him. Again, greatest unemployment, manufacturing was coming back to this country.
Remember, this is still all, what would you ask Jesus?
A stability in the Middle East, the likes of which we'd never seen before. And you just go through all the accomplishments. And then in about 3 weeks, this guy comes in and you've got, gas prices double and you have inflation absolutely through the roof. And you have the loss of civil liberties.
I mean, not only should you ask Jesus about gas prices, ask about his view on leaded versus unleaded, and ask about ethanol too.
You have crime going through the roof. You've got Christmas presents that can't be delivered because literally store shelves are empty because...
Okay, so you guys get it. So this counts as serious discussion on the right. And then it gets even crazier, where Eric Trump says that the COVID vaccine represents the stripping of freedoms in the country in a literal sense. Okay? The vaccine, which his dad invented, according to what they say, and should get praise for, also is the literal stripping of our freedoms.
The problem I have with it is it's contradictory to their own message, which is wrong. Like, you've got to be consistent in life. You know, you can't waver every single day. But I think beyond that is a greater reflection on kind of where we are as America. If they're willing to strip your rights to your own health care, well, what are they willing to do to religion? What are they willing to do to the Second Amendment? What are they willing to do to our Constitution?
Really a deep thinker, as you guys can tell.
And I think
Even Candace Owens seems bored by this, by the way, if you're watching.
we all know the answer to those questions, right? And it's deeply scary. But to me, the vaccine actually represents something that's much greater than a medical shot. To me, the vaccine represents literally the stripping of freedoms in this country, which is
Now all of a sudden Candace Owens perks up. Now she's nodding. Yeah, oh yeah, the vaccine. It is the stripping of freedoms, exactly. This guy's obviously vaccinated, like the whole Trump family, like Trump himself. He knows it works. He got the vaccine, but this is the red meat to stay on message.
which is deeply, deeply, deeply troubling. And you see it every single day. You see it as they rip down these statues of, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and George Washington all over the country. Now, why are they doing that, right? Like, why are they ripping down statues? Because they want to rewrite our history. They want to rewrite, our civil liberties.
Even this is like a distortion because you guys know, and we've followed the overwhelming. I don't even know. Maybe a Lincoln statue was taken down. I don't know. I've certainly not heard of it. Maybe a Washington I don't know anything. I've not heard that. But the whole statue controversy was really about Confederate statues and schools named after pro-slavery Confederate generals. That's really what this was about. But they can't say that. Trump sometimes would talk about it, but they can't really say that. So they say they're trying to erase Abe Lincoln. But all of this is a distortion, all of it.
We want to rewrite our Constitution. So if they can make the very people that they ripped down, they can make them martyrs, well, then they can make the documents that they wrote into kind of, martyr documents. They can change those documents, right? It gives them the ability to...
So anyway, as you can tell, Eric Trump is not the smart one. He's not the articulate one. What he's saying is making no sense. And I guess he's trying to say if you take a Lincoln statue down, it justifies changing the Constitution. And of course, the argument about constitutional originalism or the Constitution as a dynamic document that should be considered in the context of the modern world, it has nothing to do with Lincoln statues. But they see this. This is the type of, 90% of the discourse on the right is now CRT bad. It's okay to be white. Dr. Seuss is good. Elmo, Big Bird, whatever the thing. That's 90% of it. The other 10% is this type of thing, which to them is like as serious a discussion as you will get. Now, I am not advocating for the political views of the people I'm about to name, but just to tell you guys that it wasn't always like this. Go on YouTube and look up William F. Buckley and some of his debates. Go and look up Thomas Sowell. I'm not saying these are people whose views I agree with. I'm just giving you examples of the fact that there used to be a different type of thinking on the right where you could engage substantively on issues more the way that, yesterday when I spoke to former Republican Congressman Joe Walsh, we were sort of able to do to some degree. It doesn't have to be this stuff. But that's all that's left at this point in time. And if it works for them, if it wins them elections, I can't imagine any real reason that they would change that. One of our sponsors is Cometeer Coffee. Cometeer Coffee is delicious, I can tell you firsthand, and they've discovered the best way to brew, preserve, and deliver coffee. Their brewing process captures over 2,000 flavor compounds. Then the coffee is flash frozen, locking in the flavor. It arrives at your home frozen in a fully recyclable capsule. All you have to do is melt it by adding hot water or cold water for iced coffee. It takes seconds. It's the most convenient way that I have ever made coffee. I've been impressed with how the process protects the flavor. I really enjoy Cometeer. They have a variety of flavor options, light, medium, and dark single origin and blended coffee roasts from the best specialty roasters. You'll get $20 off when you go to cometeer.com/Pacman. The link is underneath this video.